I've just come in from the garden, and this year we have an amazing abundance of fresh basil growing, as well as tomatoes. And so I've just picked all of these up, and we're going to make tomato basil soup. This soup tastes so great, and it's perfect for just eating right away or freezing and eating later. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash up my basil and then sort through my tomatoes and decide which ones we're going to use. Okay, I'm going to measure out my tomatoes, and I need about 3 pounds of tomatoes. You can use any kind of tomato at all, as long as it's beautifully ripe. That's the key to this whole soup. And so I'm just going to weigh out 3 pounds. This is just a touch over 3 pounds, and it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to wash these up and then get everything ready for our soup. For this soup, we're going to use 2 carrots. You don't taste the carrots. They're going to be all pureed up in the soup. But carrots add a really great sweetness and balance to the tomatoes. We're just going to coarsely chop these up. And then I need about a half of a large onion. And I'm just using up some pieces that I have left in the fridge. Again, I'm just going to coarsely chop these up. Add a little bit of olive oil. Our carrots and onions go right in. We're going to cook these up for about 5 to 7 minutes, just until those onions begin to soften. I've got my carrots and onions on, and they're just lightly sauteing over a medium heat. And I'm going to start to chop up my tomatoes. Just into big chunks. And I'm going to get rid of the core and any stems. I've given this a stir a few times just to make certain nothing's burning. You can see the onions are just starting to get a little bit soft. And a little bit of color. And a clear spot in the middle, and I am going to add my garlic. The garlic cooks for just about 30 seconds. We just want it to warm, release some of its fragrances, and that's all we need. And in go those tomatoes. I'm going to cook the tomatoes just by themselves to start with. About 10 minutes. I really want some of the juices from the tomatoes to be released. After 10 minutes, the tomatoes have released a lot of their juices. We now add chicken or vegetable stock and simmer for 30 minutes. This is my washed basil, and I'm just going to remove the leaves from the stems. I don't need this part in my soup. We're going to use all of this basil in the soup, so it's just really a really large handful that you want. Just going to lay this together a little bit and just give it a really rough chop. Again, this will be pureed in the soup, so we don't have to go super fine. The main thing we want to check here is our carrots. We want them to be soft, because if they're not soft, they're not going to puree, and they're going to be little teeny hard chunks within our soup. So I can tell that this one's soft because my fork just goes right through it. After I have tested my carrots and make certain that they are nice and soft, I'm going to add my basil. And I'm just going to give it a brief stir in here. The soup is plenty hot. It's going to wilt down this basil, but I don't really want to cook it. I just want it to be heated up. And I'm going to let that just rest there for just a minute or two while the basil really starts to wilt and the flavors start to infuse that soup. I am ready to begin pureeing my soup. And I'm going to be using an immersion blender. You can also use a regular blender, but do it in small batches. And remember, this is really hot, so we need to be very cautious so it's not splattering or spilling onto us. With the immersion blender, I just stick it into my soup and I do quick little pulses. And then I lift to remove it and back down. And I do this at the beginning until it's pretty well smooth, and then I can leave it running and keep it going and make it really smooth. Okay, I think that's nice and smooth. Give it a check. The last thing we need to do is add salt, and I usually add about a teaspoon of salt, but I like to start with half that amount first, stir it in, give it a real good taste, and add a little bit more. The amount of salt you add is really going to depend on what kind of stock you used. If you use an unsalted variety, you're going to use a little bit more. Give this a real good stir, and I'm going to give it a little taste. A little bit more salt for me. I'm going to go with a little more pepper too. Grab a new spoon, taste it again. This soup is so amazing. Let me show you how we're going to serve it up. All right. Going to just spoon this into my bowl. I like to sprinkle a little bit of additional fresh basil on top and a little drizzle of heavy cream. Isn't that a beautiful bowl of soup? And it smells so amazing. All of that basil just really gets absorbed in here with the tomatoes. Now the heavy cream is totally optional, but I like to add just a little creamy something. Plus it looks really neat drizzled over the top. So let's give this a try. Nothing matches the flavor of fresh summer tomatoes. This is so good.